We're back, and so are your masks.
You took my line.
I did. I absolutely did. John came up with that beforehand. Hi, guys. How are you doing? Welcome back to the K9 for Veterans show, and we are here this week with me, Jill Jans, your host, and my charming husband, which...
Also joining us today is Stella.
The new service dog.
Stella is going to be my replacement for my last service dog who passed away recently. And
well, years ago.
Today, one of the things we're going to be going over is these guys right here, K9s for Veterans. My experience so far as I personally utilize their services, and I'm going to give you a little breakdown and my honest personal assessment of the show that I am on TV talking about.
And also, I'm going to be asking him some questions and digging into how it is different this time around, because it's not at all the same, and this is all something new that we're navigating. I mean, especially considering the fact that the service dogs for veterans is something that hasn't been around forever. Like, we pretty much all knew it was something that dogs could do, help people feel things and deal with things, but as far as helping veterans do things, it's only been within the past conflict that we realized that was a useful and helpful thing. And I mean, we got our first service dog, Allie, when we were living in our apartment in Charleston, Illinois, and it was 2009, I think.
2009, 2010. I got out of the Marine Corps in 2008 because I had been blown up over in Iraq. Got hit by a
roadside bomb.
Got hit by a pretty big bomb. My brain got injured in the blast. Now, I look normal-ish, I guess. But, I mean, there's no deformities. You can't see any of my injuries, but my brain got jacked up pretty bad.
And coincidentally, we had no children and an apartment, and we were apparently missing something and didn't know it. We're working on getting John's time home in order because he was going to school for something that he was going to be pursuing in his life that he hadn't really planned on, because he planned on being in the Marine Corps forever, and because of the injury he was not able to pursue that dream, and he also now had an injury that he had to navigate, and we had a life that we had to build. So in the grand scheme of things came Allie. And also I had just stumbled upon something called Puppies Behind Bars, which was an organization that was trying something new because they were thinking that the dogs and veterans had a really good bond. So they were training them with inmates in New York. And then they would give them to veterans, and they would be helpful service dogs. That was about it that we knew about it, but I mentioned it to John, and he started looking into it. So spoke with his doctor and got a trainer, and we then from there...
Sort of. Yeah, essentially. I got a letter from my doctor expressing that a service dog would be a beneficial treatment for some of the problems I was having, and
So you spoke with your doctor.
Spoke with my doctor, as she said,
and then you found a trainer.
I found a trainer. I had been training dogs of all kinds, police dogs, service dogs. Just bad dogs, as some people call them. But he had been training dogs for about 40 years, and I would show up once a week with Allie. We'd have one-on-one time to work on exactly one thing, and I would master. I would perfect that one thing. As far as my command of it.
Can you give us an example?
So if you give a command and you give a...
Such as?
You give a command such as sit.
Okay.
When you're given that command, in order for the dog to really let it sink in, you need to give him a treat.
You need to reinforce the behavior.
You need to reinforce it, and you have to reinforce it at the right time. So if you give it too soon, you're telling the dog to kind of squat, and you give them a treat and they're not all the way sitting down, then so you work with the trainer, and they'll tell you that's exactly right, do it again, do it again.
Okay, so
And then you work by yourself for the rest of the week on that one thing. And
one second, let me back up really quick to say that before this, John never had a dog. He didn't own a dog growing up or anything like that. I myself have always had a dog. As long as I can remember, I think my entire life, my family has always been a dog family. So when we had gotten Allie, and she was going to be our dog. When she became a service dog for him, it was his dog. And that's a significant difference, but at the same time, it wasn't as significant as, let's say, now with somebody like Stella here, who is coming into a 4-person family, who recently lost a dog, but that had come to be their family dog that was trained already. Now we're getting a dog that has not been trained as a family dog and trying to kind of back up and figure out where it's different and where the needed changes are going to be. So when he was training Allie, like he was talking about, and learning the tempo of how to train her, it was something that was a lot easier because there was only him and I. He could focus on that. He could take all of the time he needed. He could take all of the concentration, and he could take all of his focus and put it into her. And that was something that made it a significantly special experience, and it's now noticeably significantly different. And it's harder. I'm absolutely sure of that. But it's something that I think...
But today we're going to go over...
well, that's
okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying.
Did you see him trying not to...
Guys, I'm trying to
he doesn't
keep
like
this
that feeling.
rolling.
He doesn't like the feeling of being...
I love Allie. Absolutely. I still call Stella Allie.
Oh, yeah, that's a hard one, too. No,
whoa.
Come back.
Where you going?
So...
Sit. Stella, I know.
There you go.
Good girl.
So, after Ellie passed away this March,
right,
it was immediately said between us that, there's no dog. Like, I figured, he figured, we all figured for, like, at least a year. And about a month passed before I executive decision called Mike Tellerino. And
who's in charge of K9s for Veterans.
Which you know, because he normally hosts the show.
Of course. Just putting that out there for our
just in case you weren't aware.
New viewers.
And I told him that John needs a dog. So we need to start kind of looking around and figuring out how to make this happen. And I was kind of expecting it to be like something that would be a few months in the process. And the following week, Mike sent me a message of a picture of a dog, and he called me. He's like, we found her. And little did we know, how much went into that, of course. Reggie and Mike and the organization itself just, went to town looking for something that was going to be a good fit with John. And the parameters that I had given were that we need a dog who's about, the size that she is, and because she's a not fun size, but she's definitely not a bigger dog. Like John doesn't need, because he said before that he doesn't have the physical, he doesn't have the physical struggles. He needs somebody who's going to be able to listen to him, and he's going to be able to coach and all that. And the smaller size that she is, it's less of a struggle.
It's perfect for me. There's not a specific breed of service dog with the right temperament. There's 10 things, 10 traits that we would look for, they would look for in a puppy to allow them into the K9s for Veterans program to start the process of becoming service dogs. Not all the dogs that are selected, and again, K9s typically pulls dogs from kill shelters across the country. We've got a vast network of trainers, organizations, and individuals that keep an eye out. And if a dog has potential, they'll give us a call, and the dog will make its way here to Chicago to the training center, and will be linked up with a veteran.
Now, the in-between of when Mike had told us about Stella and when we got her, that weekend there was a K9s event that we went to. We brought our kids, Guinevere 10, who you met a few weeks ago, and our JD 4. And I have to say that was probably the hardest thing that I've done in a really long time that was unexpectedly difficult. Being at an event for dogs without a dog and without knowing...
So
it was something that was hard, and I tell you this so that you know, if and when the time comes, when the time comes that you will be in a situation like that, if you have a service dog and you are a veteran with PTSD or the like, it's not you, it's the situation.
Losing a service dog is
A different.
was more difficult for me than losing some family members, and it kills me to say that because I'm close with my family. I love my entire family, but my last dog Allie was with me. Physically, I could feel her by my side all day, every day for a decade, and
Almost always.
that bond. She knows when something is wrong, and she can correct herself or correct the actions.
She adapted and grew as our family adapted and grew
without
too.
even being told to do so. And,
for the most part.
Losing her was like losing a big chunk of myself.
And also, that loss was then not able to be dealt with because she wasn't there to help him through it. It was really complicated.
It was brutal.
And we're still not on the other side of it.
Be ready for that. I was not, and
we still are going through it. But so, I wanted to talk about it today, and so did John. I think because we know at least two other
individuals,
two other veterans that
we're friends with.
There are people that are going through almost identical situations, if not actually
right.
There's about 5 I think of now. But it's something that you turn that corner, and you knew that it would happen one day. You know that there's another side of it, but when you're rounding it, it's scary.
It's hard. So I'm gonna now roll into
how it came to be Stella.
K9s in my experience with them personally.
Okay, we can take a break and do that. That's fine.
What's that?
As we can take a break and do that. That's fine. But I was going to talk about how. Yeah, go ahead.
No, so like my wife said, we got a call from Michael Tellerino after talking with him. He and his network had found what he believed to be the perfect dog for me, and.
Leading up to it, Mike called John a few times to make sure that he was able to understand that this was going to be something that he was going to do. And he said something to me that really stuck with me and will always, I guess, kind of propel me forward in that notion when it comes to you're going to have to eventually. And no matter when, it's going to hurt. And so it's not going to change over time. It's going to hurt. And
Stella had been brought up from Texas.
I would like you all to know that she's happy.
She sounds like a
she's
little
sighing
kitten.
Right now.
She almost sounds like she's purring.
I'm pretty sure that's what I was going to call it. And I was like, do dogs purr?
But I had they K9s had transferred her or transported her to the facility here in Chicago. She was there for a few days, and I got the call that she was there and was asked to come to the facility.
We arranged it for a Monday.
To meet her for the first time.
And we waited until that Monday, like 5 minutes before he's supposed to leave, to say, okay, so you're going. Are we all? No, why don't you just go and you meet her yourself and decide it and talk about it. We didn't. We just avoided that topic. We knew it was going to happen, but we didn't broach it. And then forced ourselves through it at that moment, and then John took off to go get her.
So I expected to go to the facility, see the dog, interact with her for a little bit, and then go home, take some time, and think about the dog, which seemed
I knew that was not the case.
That seemed to make sense in my mind. However, when I got there, I met Stella, and they said, John, she's going to be a great dog for you. She's going to be a great fit. I was like, all right, well, cool, and I went to hand her back, and they're like, no, you're taking her with you, buddy. And that took me back because it was just an unexpected surprise. I thought the training center would be holding on to her, and maybe the trainer would work with her first for a little while, individually. and then I would be introduced to the dog.
Which, mind you, she's also 18 months old, so she's potty, she's like house trained,
Right.
she's all of those kind of things as far as, which,
So-
oh, by the way, tell us about what breed Stella is and how old she
Oh,
is.
Stella is a Bowser. That is a Basset Hound and Schnauzer. She's like, I don't know, 18 months old. No, she's about 20 months old now. She looks like she's 57. But
One of the things too is her, when he got home with her, and I started researching Bowser, it was hard to find anything.
it's a new mix.
It's a newer breed, came out in the 90s, and she had a second layer of hair that was a lot different than what she looks like now.
Like a Schnauzer. She had these wiry hairs sticking out of her face.
She,
I thought she was
did
an
look
old
like
lady.
she was 100. But-
She did not look like she was going to last long, but a quick haircut, and she looked like a puppy.
Now,
So I'd bring her home, and it was just time to bond. We took.
Can I mention that John comes home and like she's she's hanging out the window like as he's like me and the kids were waiting outside for him, and like kind of not sure how this is gonna go, and it was walks up, she's happy and all of that, and then we went into the backyard with the kids, and she does look like an old lady, and then all of a sudden she takes off after the
She
kids,
took
and like
off
I was so
sprinting.
nervous because I had a older dog for a while, and I had no like expectations or and the kids love her, and she's about their size, knocks them over like in a playful way, and
She plays great with the kids. She doesn't. She won't accept treats, which is actually a problem when it comes to training her. I need to find another way to motivate her to do the task I'm asking her to do. Normally, you give a dog a treat, anything from a biscuit to a piece of steak, and they'll eat it right out of your hand and love you for it.
which
She will look at it, either walk away or take it in her mouth and then kind of just drop it on the side of her mouth over there.
she's a big fan of like just like
So that's
positive reinforcement.
that's
words.
a different beast. Which I've worked with the trainers. I've spoken with them, and we developed a new training system.
What is it?
Well, we are
Tell us more.
Tell us more, indeed. Well, originally I had been just using a regular collar. We started off with just a standard collar, and she was doing all right, but it was, like I said, difficult to get her to do anything because of her.
She's
because
still
of her lack
finding-
of desire.
She's still
for the
finding
food.
her way, I think, too, like as a training as your dog,
But we quickly transitioned over to a this little quick release. It's a choke collar, and I was against them at first.
I repulse.
I was just absolutely not. That looks extremely painful. Anything I put that I expect my dogs to do. As far as training, I would do to myself first. So if a shock collar, I'd strap it to my leg and turn it up. Test all the settings. This guy I put around my calf and was pulling on it, so I knew exactly what I would be putting her
That's
through.
really smart.
And it started to work. And as long as you use these devices correctly, these training devices correctly. It is all about spending time and repetition doing that again and again. So
what happens when you don't want to? Because it's something that
it's like
working the plan.
like anything else. If it's something you're supposed to be doing, you're supposed to be watching the kids, and you tell them to go to bed and they don't want to. Well, then they're
I know
You
that,
have
but
to
I'm
take
talking
them, what are you-
specifically about a dog that you're training.
I'm
and
not
the dogs.
understanding the question.
Every time you find an issue with having to train Stella,
Mm-hmm.
it feels like sometimes that like you're.
I'm hesitant to move on because I'm still hurt. I still call her Allie.
Yeah.
It still hurts. And I compare her to the very dog that this organization was started because of. And it's rough, but I want to get on to talking about the actual center and
Okay, go ahead.
and training them. So like I said, the first thing that I did not expect was to take her home the same day that I met her, and then she was at the house for a couple of weeks before we actually started training, and it was months, I know, but I'm going to say weeks because
I'm not saying anything.
That's the typical timeline. Is you take about a week, make sure you and the dog get to know each other well, and then you and the dog would show up once a week for training with the trainer
Right.
in a small class or a cohort.
That's how you guys do it, right?
And that's how K9s works. You show up. You have a group of individuals that you're with that they got the dogs around relatively the same time, and they're at the same obedience level. And the trainer will stand in front of us. Right now, I have 6 individuals, including myself, in my class, and it is great to be able to interact with these individuals, with the humans at least, because they're all veterans, and most of us have shared histories and experiences. The dogs can interact a little bit when they've got the other dogs around.
They have a feel for temperament and stuff.
Not just temperament, but the distraction of another dog will. You need to work on keeping them from running after or barking at another animal, and working in a group is great for that. But I was hesitant to continue training because it wasn't the same as when I had done it originally. When it was one-on-one training, I was taught how to do something perfectly, and it's not practice. Practice makes perfect. It's perfect practice makes perfect. So it's less individual attention than I was used to. However, that's a small price to pay for everything that the organization
for how much
does.
The dog herself is going to end up helping you.
And I will be honest right now. I am not a great student. Let's say I've missed probably
You've missed
a third. I've
three
missed.
classes.
I've missed. I've missed a third of the classes. A third of the training classes that I was supposed to be at with Stella.
He's missed 3 classes.
And that's on me. That was personal reasons, and
One was canceled by the trainer. No, it wasn't. Don't.
that was personal reasons. But regardless, had I put in the work, she would have been progressed further. She would be doing so. It's up to the individual. It's not up to the organization.
Right, I understand.
I'm explaining. You understand? I'm just explaining it to
Okay.
those that don't.
Tell them.
I'm telling them. I'm looking at this camera because I don't like looking at this camera. So I like looking at you. I like being able to see you. She's beautiful.
Oh.
So it is lost on me what I was talking about.
You're talking about how it's on the individual.
So it really comes down to the individual putting in the time with the animal to master the commands, the tasks needed, and
It's easier the first time, though, wouldn't you have said? Like,
for me, it was easier the first time, absolutely, because I had more time to dedicate to the dog. I have a hard time getting to training. Some of it is because of the kids.
a lot of it is because
A
of our
lot of it
kids.
is
and
because of the kids.
just arranging everything. But so you brought them with a few times, didn't you?
So I was able to bring my kids to the training center. They would sit in the back in the chairs, or they would play with the instructors' children. She'll bring them sometimes.
But how does having kids change having a service dog that's being trained? Because we didn't have them the first time.
That was the
Other part of why this is so difficult.
The other part of why it's so difficult to train a dog is because it is
a service dog.
A service dog is because it's like training or raising a child. You need to put so much time, dedication, and make sure everything is right to correct all the negative behaviors as they start, and
on top of it, be teaching them complicated
Right.
things that are specific for it.
It's difficult, but I have problems now with Stella, like I said, with the feeding that I didn't have with Allie, and
Allie ate everything.
I can go right to the trainer and I say, this is what's happening. What can we do to fix that? And so far, of the 4 problems that I've had, she's been able to correct 3 of them. The 4th one is just her breed. She was bred to chase smaller animals, so she'll still try to go after.
And she's so fast and
She'll try to go after small animals, usually at night, and that's the problem. That's what we're going to be working on starting today.
He just came from training.
Right. I just came from training today, just a couple of hours ago, and it is great to be there. I had one of the veterans that is there training his dog came up to me and said, "You know what? I'm glad you did that show the other day about getting kicked out of places with your dog, because I've had problems with my service dog too, where just the other day I was going into a deli and the owner came up and said, 'Whoa, no service dogs allowed.' And he said, 'Well, because I saw your show, I knew to ask them to call the police, because a service dog is like medicine. It's like your glasses.
And you can legally have it anywhere you want.
Right. You need to legally have it until. I'm not saying until, but
we're gonna be wrapping up now, though.
Right.
So it was good to be able to talk about everything that this organization has done for us, because we are just eternally grateful for everything.
So grateful to K9s for veterans.
If nothing else gets across here, though, I want it to be known that when you have a service dog, it is different than having a pet dog.
Right.
And the loss is so deeply felt in a way that is significantly different than your family dog. I'm not trying to compare, not trying to anything other than make those who know this feel like they're seen. Thank you very much, and that is our show.